Good morning, Laura, and welcome to this week's podcast. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me, Donna.
Super excited, as I always am. I need to find another term of conversation, a sentence, but I'm always super excited. I've got so many questions to ask you. So, like I was saying to you before, what I do like people to do when they start with our conversations is a bit of an elevator pitch to the listeners of what you do to help people and families and your passion in life.
Absolutely. So I'm an online marriage and relationship counselor, and I help couples Australia-wide. I guess my big mission is really to lower the divorce rate, keep as many families together as I can, and nothing makes my heart sing when I hear about the flow and effect of couples, getting these foundational things in place, feeling connected, loving, thriving, and the flow and effect that has for their whole family. It just lights me up like nothing else. So that's what I do.
It is, and that's so special. And the thing is, you are healing generations too. As we, people might not have heard of this or start to delve into it, but it's all our generational patterns and trauma that we bring into marriages. And then if it's too hard and we break that up, then it's hard to heal, isn't it? So then you're healing future generations too. So not even marriages. So
exactly right. And it makes such a difference, right? I think we're all just trying to do a bit better than our parents. They did the best they can, and we're all just trying to do even better.
Yeah. I have found, to be honest, I'm still married. I say this and joke about this, but I am still married, but it has been really hard, really hard. And I think the reality is let's keep it real rather than watching everybody else get along and they don't have arguments. And that's just a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah,
if you've got
it's not true.
No, you've got two humans coming from different family upbringings, a man and a woman typically. You've got obviously same sex as well. They're probably different issues that might arise. But there's going to be conflict.
For sure.
And for me, who was a reformed, nearly, I'm not still that great at it, people pleaser, wanted everything to be perfect and happy and sunshines and roses. It was not. It has not. And at times it's probably been worse than my mum and dad. So, on the other side of that at the moment, in this, what is it, valleys and pits and valley, whatever they are.
Yeah, peaks and valleys.
It's all about that. So I love that you're online as well, because what I find here, because where are you located?
I'm in Queensland, so I'm inland. I'm sort of north of Gympie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Being here in Perth, we're limited with psychologists, psychiatrists, counselling, all that sort of stuff. And so I think people haven't or can understand to venture into online stuff. And, I've been doing my online, not online, but virtual. Is it virtual when you do it? Zoom. So it's still connecting with people with sleep and parenting, and it works exactly the same. Other than I can't physically give you a hug. We're not really supposed to do that, are you? The online stuff works just as well.
It does. I find even better in some ways because there's less, when you think about organizing two people's schedules, there's not the travel. I've got a lot of parents that will have kids, in the other room, and they're still safe, and if they need to come in and out, then that's fine. I mean, it's life too, and it makes it easy. Yeah.
No, we need to really get out there with that. So great that you do that. Love it, love it, love it. So many questions. What made you get into this? Where have you come from? What made you get into sort of saving relationships and marriages, as important as it is? What made you find a passion for that?
Yeah, look, I think like most people, we have our own journey that we go on. And when I got married to my high school sweetheart when I was about 24, and we had our beautiful first daughter, but things, were great up until that point. To be honest, we were one of the couples who didn't really fight. There wasn't really anything, until
you didn't fight. It was
no,
just
we didn't really. Oh, well, it was,
okay.
like every couple,
but not raw,
get annoyed here and there and that kind of stuff, but nothing major. I mean, to be honest, when you don't have any kids either, and we hadn't had our first child yet, so we're doing our own thing, but as a couple as well. And when my first daughter came along, things really flipped on its head. And obviously there's so many things that
totally
might go into it, and I'm not going
to. Totally.
Yeah, basically, he came home after being away because he was working away for 6 months stints, really long time. So it was quite challenging.
Yeah.
When he first came home, meeting father and dad, but to be honest, it just formed an attachment with somebody else. And that was a huge shock to me, obviously. I knew things weren't quite right, but sometimes when you come to an end of a stint of working away for so long, that's pretty normal that things feel a bit bit not quite,
Yeah,
as
totally.
connected and just how you want it to be. And yeah, so long story short, he walked out at when my daughter was 6 weeks old. And so
Oh,
I was a new mum, um, first time mum, and basically I just had to kind of keep going and work out who I was as a new mum, a single mum. And I never had a frame of reality in my world. Like, my parents are still together. Like, I never had that to even understand. And that's where I really dived into
yeah.
marriages and couples, kind of like really like trying to figure out, to be honest, what happened, what's going on. And I guess I kind of got to a point where I'm like, what on earth? Why isn't this education in schools? Like, our whole world is built on relationships. Like, I was flabbergasted. I just did not understand like why there shouldn't be information on like how you choose the right partner and how you communicate and how you connect and reconnect
Yeah.
and like, the millions of things that there is in relationships.
Yeah.
But I then went on.
No
Sorry?
one. No one tells us, and not even our parents. Nothing. Zippy.
Correct. You just see what you see and you take in and you make your own beliefs about that, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, like, and then we just keep rolling with that, which is just super bizarre in my mind because, our work relationships we have, family, friends, and then of course our romantic relationships. So it just didn't make any sense to me. So I got kind of annoyed about that. And I've got 3 degrees. I ended up doing my master's in counselling. I have a biomedical degree and all of that. I kind of brought it all together and I was like, you know what? Let's do something. Like, there's no good being annoyed about something. Let's do something. So, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, fast forward to today, I'm happily remarried for a long time with my 3 beautiful kids. It feels like another story when I tell this. And I think
It's your story.
but it's my story for sure.
And it's also what led you to this.
100%.
That's why I love the elevator pitch, because every single woman, men not so much, love them too, but there is a reason and a burning of like, I don't want another woman to go through this.
100%.
How can I learn and heal and grow? And not every woman is like this, no. But the women that I have on this podcast, it always comes from a pain, a lived pain experience. And that's where we look back and go, all right, then it happened for that reason.
Exactly right. And it's such a gift to me now because I can speak to the roller coaster of what it is.
Right.
And it's, you can't get that from a textbook. Like, there's just no textbook that tells you that.
Not even on Instagram and stuff. And meaning we can share our stories. Like I said, I'm as vulnerable and authentic as I can be on Instagram, but it's capped. It's so capped,
it's
like
so short too. Like, it's so tiny.
But it's also, I'm not, people, if you get to meet me, I am that person, but they don't know the depths of stuff. But if I had in a room with them and they asked me, I'd tell them everything. Like, I'm really very vulnerable with that. I never used to be. Oh my gosh. Like, I was, no way. I just, no. Because then I always blamed myself for everything, So that's amazing and good on you. And now look at you saving marriages and future generations. Amazing. So now there's lots of things because we again talk for hours on this. So I think the biggest thing, and when I found you again, I don't know how I found you, but I was like, well, is, like I said, being married, still being married. If I put pictures up, it's usually of holidays and stuff. It's not a lot of my families. I have talked about this on other podcasts about Dave and I and our marriage, and he's happy for me to share stuff as well. Yeah. But it's been really bad at times. Like, I talk about, you might be on different pages. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might be in different chapters. We have been in different books. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think, are we going to come back from this one? Right? Mm-hmm. Are we going to come back from different books? But the thing is, if you really love that, because there are people that shouldn't still be together. Let's keep that real too, So it's having someone like you to help figure that out. But if there's that love, like, as much as I really didn't like him and he didn't like me at times, I still loved him.
Yes.
And I didn't hate him.
Exactly.
I don't know if that makes sense or whatever, but there was dislike, not hate, but still that love, even though I was like really grumpy.
Yeah, I mean, you can be frustrated, annoyed, pissed off, like, it's in so mode. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not a Hallmark movie. It's not how it's meant to be. And we are meant to have seasons of challenging times in our marriage because that's how you grow as a couple. That's how you know you've got the rock solid foundation. If you can still respect and love each other through even the toughest of toughest times. And you can almost bet your bottom dollar you'll be throwing them. Like, it's just how it is.
Totally. Yeah. We found an amazing marriage counsellor here, and she's trained in Gottman's.
Yes.
which I love. Everyone needs to follow Gottman's. And only because I thought she's the only one in Perth doing it at the time. And then I kind of dragged him, like,
yeah.
you know, it's like, yeah, right. But in my mind, there'd been so much going on. Again, it was a lot of environmental stuff with our children, our teenage daughters, very, very stressful. You could see how marriages break up for that.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, well, this is the last ditch. This is the last in my mind. And I'm like, right, I think we really need to go to this lady we'd been to her before. We hadn't been to her before, sorry. We'd been to other counselling. I was walking into there thinking, well, this is it, right? That's what I was thinking. Met there, love you. No, yeah, but go in there. And so she's like, so what are we here for today? And we're like, oh, we don't know. Like, she goes, well, to like amicably break up or, and we said, well, I don't know. And my husband's like, what do you mean break up? And I was like, okay. So then she asked me like what's the 20-80? You know, is it 20 good, 80 bad, 20 good? And I went, 80 bad. And he was like, what? He goes, I would have said 20-80. And anyway, long story short, the whole session was beautifully driven by her. And at the end, she said, you know what? As much as you must be frustrated at each other in that, I see nothing but love and respect.
Yes, for sure.
And if we didn't go there to her and her say that when she could see something when I felt like it was at the end, like it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
You know?
You find that with so many couples, and a lot of, like, I hear that all of the time. Like, this is the last ditch attempt. I don't know where to go. Like, this is it. I don't know where to go else. Like, we've got all of this writing on it, so to speak. And you will often find, you know, that there is that underlying foundation of just love and respect. If sometimes you can just like actually stop for a second, like look at each other for a second.
No. When you're in anger and
correct.
And every day cortisol's up there, like for other reasons, not particularly just about us. That's the other thing.
No. Just life.
Yeah. Then it's hard. Now, what was I going to say? So this is a bit of a tricky question, and I don't know if you can answer it. And if you can't, just say, I can't answer it.
Sure.
So if you've got a couple who comes to you and you've got to know them a bit, and in your professional expertise, it wasn't healthy and it probably best was to not keep going, would you say that?
So as a counsellor, you don't necessarily, to be like fully transparent.
Totally.
So you don't actually, you wouldn't ever like necessarily, like, I mean, you do get point blank questions, right?
You know what I mean? I know. You know what I'm trying to say, like.
Yeah.
So, in a way.
Yeah, and it would depend on their goals. So like people come to me with different things, right? So maybe it's unhealthy when they come to me and they both really want to work on it and get better. And I'm like, cool, like that's perfect. Then we put in things in place. We talk about what we need to, and we can get to the healthy place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think there's varying degrees. Like, I feel like if we're talking about safe and unsafe, that's a different conversation.
Totally.
Yeah, and if we're talking about healthy versus unhealthy, then
I'm not even talking about safe, unsafe, to be honest. I suppose now would it be directed that this is not right for them, I suppose. And I suppose it's more getting to the point that you give them the tools, then make the decision. Yeah. The clear tools for both of them, and then they make the decision.
Yeah, I guess to give you a bit more of an insight of what it looks like, because everyone does work really differently. So a lot of times it's a facilitated conversation. They'll be looking at each other, and it's a facilitated conversation where they can both feel like heard, seen, valued, and acknowledged. And a lot of the times it comes out in that conversation with just the right prompting around, like, you know, does that feel good for both of you? Does it not feel good? And they very clearly, like, most of the time would identify that it's either healthy or not healthy, or what they want or what they don't want, right? And usually the interesting thing that I find most of the time is both people are wanting the exact same thing. They're just articulating it in a different way.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's answering my question.
Yeah, good.
You know, it is. I'm sorry. I know it's a bit of a...
No, it's a good question.
I'm sorry to everybody that's listening, but my dog has been scratching at the door. She's gone in the cupboard. I am so sorry to everybody. It's very unprofessional, but she is being...
She'd like to be in here, please.
I'm giving her the look and she's not getting it. So sorry to the listeners in the background. That was my dog. Okay. And she's probably going to do more. I can't get her out. So yes, that's a really great answer. And I think, again, with all the counselling and stuff that I've been in other situations, when you're a great counsellor, as you would be, and you facilitate that, it also allows those people to see the realness of those people in that position. So you help them see the realness in each other. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think you really need that time and that space to be able to see it. And like you
yeah,
said, to either see like the respect and the love and the solid foundation. And
yeah.
like you can see it as someone like the outsider in like the gifts and the talents that they have, even as a couple and that type of thing. So counseling, I think sometimes can be perceived as very negative. Like it's like,
Oh no, I never, never,
but
never. It saved, like I've been
yeah,
doing it
yeah.
30 years. It's definitely not negative. No.
No, but it can really draw out, the skills and talents that you have individually and as a
Yeah.
couple and highlight that, which, helps you use these things better as a couple. If that makes sense.
It does. And also because this has been my life and it's been life saving and marriage saving, and my kids are 19, 17, and 13, and we have been through hell and back through parenting, to be honest, and on different pages. And, like that's the honest truth. Before we had
Yeah,
kids, not a problem.
of course not.
But it just, yeah, it's been hard. But what I want to say, and again, this is why I wanted to share you, it's marriage saving. And also, I'm so glad we're still together.
Yes.
And we still have weekly, in my head, ups and downs, because I'm like, oh, you're annoying. Why just, that's, I think we need to normalize
For
that,
sure.
and our life, and but to have people like you hold their hands to get them through the better option. I don't want people to get annoyed by this if they hear this and they've had to separate or they've chosen to separate.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
on
yeah.
you. Good
Yeah.
on you, and particularly mamas, good on you to leave if it wasn't right.
Yeah.
But if it could be healed and there is that sort of glimmer of hope,
For sure.
don't give up, is what I'm saying. Like
Exactly right.
it's really worth the hell if there's a
Yeah.
little glimmer of love on both sides.
Exactly. And sometimes I just say it's hope. If you
Yes,
have hope in your
yes.
relationship, like if there's a little, even a speck of hope,
Humor.
even the tiniest thing, and even if you're like questioning that hope, if it's there, that's enough. That's
Perfect.
enough to, take the next step to put in the right things and just see, right? Just explore and see.
So you've just explained it, because I was at that glimmer a few times thinking, and then I go day by day, and then he would try, I would try, we would try things, and then, okay, I quite like you again. You're all right. You're quite funny. All right.
Yeah.
I'll have sex with you. That's another
Yes.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for explaining that. So where the next step for that is where I found it really hard. Reconnect, even when there's resentment and hurt.
For sure. For sure. And this is
Can you please give little, because you can see it getting pulled. Like I know we all react certain ways to frustration and anger. So Dave over time is like, I'm sorry. And then he starts to get like quite annoyed. Like I'm still not over it type of thing. And I'm like, you're right. Why are you annoyed at me? You did it, like it's sort of that thing. Whereas I can sort of just get past it now a bit better. So you sort of explain that, like, so for me trying to reconnect when he's being ridiculous in my mind, he'll hear this, he might hear it one day, but I think it's like, come on, mate, I don't really want to connect with him in that situation, but I know I probably need to do little baby steps. Yes.
Yeah. And in that situation that you explained, so like a lot of people would leave some stuff like that and not address it and move on and just like, we'll put it under the carpet, and we do that like a million times over. Obviously that's where the resentment, hurt, and long-term pain really builds. And so you clearly don't want to do that, because that's like, the demise, honestly, like just laying it out there, a demise of a relationship. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So in that situation, like, I mean, there are so many things that you can do to overcome like hurt, pain, resentment, even if it's been a protracted long period of time. I deal with this like every day of the week, right? So there's heaps of stuff you can do. But even like on that example that you shared, and it is hard, not gonna lie, like when you don't want, like maybe they're being funny and you're like, why? Like I just, and
I don't say it. This is just my
of
head.
Of course, I know you don't say it. But it's that like olive branch, the metaphorical olive branch of like, like even like stating what it is. Like I know that we feel a bit weird, like, or we're a bit annoyed at each other, or this sucks. Like just name it. Like it's just no good. Like, but I actually want to connect with you. Like I want to find a way forward. And so I think being real and authentic is the biggest valuable tool. And I know you started off this podcast around being how important authenticity is. Same thing in your marriage.
Totally.
Single most important thing, because from there you can do something with that, and you've opened up lines of communication. I don't even care if you started with this sucks and
totally, yeah,
we're here right now, and I don't know what to do about it. Something
Totally. And you know what I have found worked really well in our 22-year-old marriage when these situations happen? A little SMS.
Yes.
I love you. I know blah, blah, blah. Do you want to go for a walk? He might go, maybe, or I don't know. He doesn't, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, yes, we're all here. But it's that little glimmer of like, I don't want to keep feeling like that. He doesn't want to keep feeling like that. But then also, like you were saying, again, with lots of counselling, I won't let it go under the rug. Like whatever's happened when we're sort of back reconnected and like on a Sunday morning, like relaxing, we'll chat about it again. And not an argument, just like, hey, that's why I felt that way. And then he'll go, well, I felt this way because of that. And so that's taken a long time to get to that point. So it's not that continual build up of, well, that wasn't fixed. And now I'm annoyed at that from that back there.
Yeah,
And that helps.
it's literally closing those loops, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't, and like you say, you don't have to do it there and then. No, you just need an olive branch for the moment. Even if it's, I'm sorry for my part in this, like even if it's not even like, you know, we all have a part, you know, maybe you slammed the door, maybe you rolled your eyes, you know, like we all have a part. Yeah. And so it's acknowledging that. And then when the time is right, like you've just mentioned, then going, okay, well, you know, this is what I was feeling. This is what I was thinking. And resolving it and letting you both feel fully heard and understood in the situation. That's where you learn. That's where you grow.
Very important. Yeah.
It's so important because then you don't have to repeat the patterns 20 million times over. You can.
And we did. And so you know, what I came from and what he came from, and then we used to be both really fiery, both, you know, and like, so we have learned, and like this takes years too for everyone. This is not just, oh, let's go to one counselling session. This is ongoing. Find someone like yourself that you love and respect, and then you'll be like, set them on their way, and then maybe once a year they might need to come and see you once they, you know, just it's ongoing, you know, it's not, and that's okay too, isn't it?
Sure, it absolutely is. But don't you? I think we're all ongoing, right? We're all ongoing work and projects. Like we're all doing things to get better, improve every single day. And your marriage is exactly the same.
Totally. So then getting back to, which I loved on Instagram, did I choose the wrong partner? Which certainly has gone through my head at times, right? And then I get myself and, you know, whatever. Did I choose the wrong partner? And you said not particularly, right? Now, the way you explain that, I'd love for you to explain that. It was really beautifully explained in your post, but also getting into what I feel like in a marriage is, like I said, you bring in your childhood traumas. Now, people say traumas, that's pathetic. Trauma's big. We can have little T's.
Anything.
Things, not heard, whatever. And we bring them into the marriage. And then when it gets hard with parenting, those worst patterns and traits tend to rear their heads. And then that's why I think, oh, it's the right person I've chosen. So, yeah, can you talk into that a little bit about, did I choose the wrong partner when things feel like shit?
Yes.
Did I choose the wrong partner?
Yeah. So there's multiple things that people say when they go like, oh my gosh, did I choose the wrong partner? They're like, oh, we're not the same. We don't have the same values. We don't have the same likes or dislikes. We don't even want to watch the same shows. And the only thing we have in common is the kids. And like they'll go on that kind of spiral, I guess, around, is it the right partner? And I understand that, especially when there's fights and all of that type of thing happening. But I'd honestly say you've chosen this partner for a reason. And like when you go back and look at the start, it's like, well, what attracted you to them? What was interesting about them? And most of the time they were different than you. And then now we're looking at it and it's the differences that are irking you and really annoying the what out of you.
Red flag. They might have been little like pink tiny ones, and now they're like red. As much as it is for me to him, like my red flags for him. Like he's had to put up with a lot too.
But the thing is often what you'll find in counselling is the stuff that they loved in the beginning is irking them now. And so the truth is you can get back to loving it again. It's just that it's become such a polar opposite in the relationship. And you are together because you are inherently different and you bring different qualities to the relationship and different strengths to the relationship. If you were dating yourself, I think we've heard this before, it's just boring, right? Who would want to do that?
Although I've often said to myself, I wouldn't mind a bit of boring.
Yeah, but we all like it for a small period of time.
I know, just a little bit.
But when we think about intimacy is caused by friction. It's caused by friction and differences and and so your sex life, will be average.
Right, you. Our sex life, and he'd love for me to tell everybody this. Fantastic.
Good.
But when we do have it, it's fantastic. So that's a great explanation. And I think again, this is a hard thing to delve into because I speak to so many mamas. Being a mum, emotional exhaustion, being touched out, trying to think, oh gosh, I've got to have sex, which is awful that we get to that point because of exhaustion.
Yeah.
But so many families I speak to, and they're young, are in a sexless marriage. Now,
Yes.
we're not even going to get into that. We might do another episode in that. And this is not to make anyone feel bad, because let me tell you, I've not wanted to do it lots. It's not great for the marriage either.
No, it's
Just
really,
like,
really tough. Yeah.
even we feel like shit and our boobs are saggy and whatever, like we've got to try and find some middle ground, because a sexless marriage is not going to be great. Not for the woman or the man, like in the long run.
No, and I recently just shared actually on my Instagram some couple wins, and not sharing any details, but this couple
No.
hadn't been sleeping in the same room for 10 years. And
Mm.
recently they have started sleeping in the same room, only a few nights a week even, but still.
Right.
And the intimacy is back. And lo and behold, and I tell all couples this and they don't believe it until they do it.
It's true.
The little fights don't matter. The little annoyances don't matter. If the other person's having a bad day, instead of making it about you and what you've done wrong or what's going wrong, you just like, oh, that's interesting, and you observe it, and you can support each other so much better. There is only upside to intimacy.
I know, but why? I talk about this all the time, right? So our hormones, right? So we go through perimenopause with teenagers.
Mhm.
My husband's sex drive has not changed at all. It is through the roof. Ours goes down. It gets dry down there. There's all these awful things that happen hormonally. They can keep making babies in their 70s,
Yeah.
80s. Our eggs have run out.
Mm.
So we need to find ways. Don't
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's not really a one size fits all kind of
know.
situation or conversation. It's
Yeah.
not.
This
But
is
it is.
broad.
But it is a conversation to have with your partner. And like what I find is most people shy away from that conversation. They don't and no longer talk about what they like, what they enjoy. And it might have changed and we've forgotten to update our partner.
Yes, that as well.
Truly, like, and or maybe, we've had babies and things have changed and doesn't feel like it used to. And that's important to communicate. So there's so much that go into
So much. And the other thing, again, not wanting anyone to feel bad about this conversation,
no.
is I am all about my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, you've been won't want it. It's shut off. And he's like, well, that's not fair. And I'm like, well, but that's not, men don't think like that.
No.
So, I wish I wasn't like that. And I'm sure there's women that aren't. But, my mind is the opposite, in the fact that if I'm annoyed at him, I don't want to. But really, my mindset should and starting to change, is like, no, actually, I want to do it for me.
Yeah.
It's going to make me feel good. And then you're lucky.
But also like having that conversation so you can have that deeper connection instead of letting it linger, it's not just ever just about intimacy or just about communication. It all goes together.
Well, totally. So trying to keep it real, like I said. Okay. So so delving a bit more into what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. But also I think we get a little bit into procrastination, us women, is do, get, done. And then we're a bit exhausted at the end of the day. So we're just whatever. But I think when we think, oh, we need to have time with our partners, husbands, wives, same sex, whatever relationship you're in. Oh, I have to have a date night once a week, or I have to do this. But it doesn't have to be that elaborate. So can you give us a few really hints in a day or a week that were small things that help connect?
Absolutely. I think this is so important for every couple. Every couple should be doing this because it stops the disconnect, as in like you can still be super busy, which we all are, and remain connected. So I call these micro connections, and it's things like focusing on how you greet each other. I know it sounds simple, super simple, but like, are you greeting with intention? Are you like being affectionate? Are you genuinely asking how their day is, even with eye contact? I don't care if you've got a 3-year-old hanging off you. That's cool. That's great. Just go with it, right? It's just each season of life is beautiful and different for its own reasons.
Totally.
And so I would say also just checking in with one another. Now I know work might be hectic, but even if it's a quick text, like you said, sending something like appreciation or I love you or I'm thinking of you, it can take you like 20 to 30 seconds and it can mean the world for the other person. Do this regularly, like ongoing. And I think also on that point, sharing appreciations, you don't know how far those appreciations can really take your partner to want to step out and do something extra for you.
Totally.
It makes such a big difference, and it like carries you right through the days.
Oh, and I think that's one of the small things that Dave and I do. And for me, if I think about it, it's not all the time, it's not every week, but it's regular enough and it's random. And it's like, oh, he's thinking, because he's very busy as a physio,
Yes.
after patient, but he's in that time, took time to go love you or, whatever. And it means so much. And the same when I do it for him. And I don't do it again all the time, but
No.
it's just that random. It really is a beautiful thing.
And I think also when you come together at home, like it creates, depending on what you sent, of course, but it can create excitement, anticipation to see one another. And we should have that, because obviously that leads to like wanting to spend more time together, wanting to communicate more. So all of these things seem like super, super tiny things. And I'd say the tiny things are the big things in relationships.
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, it's not these big, great
No.
gestures or big, great date nights. Like, honestly, I think one of the best things my husband and I have is that we'll always make at least 5 minutes at the end of the day just to go like, hey, how are you going? What's going on for you? Because how else can I support him if I don't know? Like, if I don't know what's going on, I can't.
No. And I also find this happens quite a lot. Again, it's just our relationship.
Yeah.
For example, Dave's at work all day, back-to-back clients. I don't know how many patients he sees in a day, 20 odd. That's a lot of talking, right?
For sure.
I'm talking to clients all day, a lot of talking, helping with a lot of talking. So when they get home, when he gets home, he just doesn't want to talk, and he's not being rude about it or whatever, but there's probably so much that's happened in his day. He's not going to sit down, and so that does happen, and that's normal.
Sure.
And I think again, just normalizing that it's very normal for always be.
And I think with, situations like that, I mean, most people are in that situation, to be completely honest. It's like just putting little things in place. So sometimes men just like, well, you'll see a lot of men that will sit in the driveway for 10 minutes before they walk in.
Yes.
And it's not because, it's not because they're being like rude or just like they just need that mental off switch, and it helps them come back in as a great father. Just like we as women, like some little delineation between work and home, even if it's changing clothes, like something really small makes all the difference.
Totally. I've totally spent 10 minutes in my car sometimes too. And this amazing counselor that found marriage counselor too, as we were going through really traumatic chaos in our house. And so it would be really awful for him to walk into, because I was in the middle of it.
Yes.
And really bad. And he was just, you could see he's just like, what do I do? Like, he didn't know what to do. So what was really, and not everyone's going to have this, like, it's okay. This is just sharing my story. If it's been tough, or you've had a tough day, or you're at your wit's end, or you've got your toddlers that have given you the shits or whatever, right? Let them know. Because I wasn't letting him know. And so he was coming in and it was just absolute chaos, and, poor thing. And then it just was even more chaotic. Whereas once she said, either put a note at the door or message him to say, I've had a really terrible afternoon. I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to do this. And that changed everything as well.
Yeah. Most people don't communicate what's going on for them, what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And a lot of marriage issues, not all of them obviously, but a lot of marriage issues could be solved with, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, and this is what you could do to support me.
Amazing that. And it's amazing how simple that you've just said that. But, like we just get caught in the shit show of life, and then we don't think anyone else is going through the same thing as we are. So we don't want to share it with anyone, because it's like, they don't even know where to start. And so, it goes on and on. But again, finding someone like yourself who's easily accessible can change your life.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I think it's just this perspective too. Sometimes it's really hard when you're in it. Like, I have so many really, really, really smart, intelligent people that are crushing it in like business and work and everything. And it's just, you're in it, right? So it's hard.
And parenting, which is very important. And then parenting on different pages. That was the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah.
We were all fine when the kids were compliant and little, but when they get a voice, Nelly. Like, we were in different books, but we're in the same book, different pages, but we're getting there. So thank you so much. Like I keep saying, I could speak to you all day. How can people find you, other than the links and everything will be in the show notes? Tell me what you can offer people, like one-on-ones, where to find you, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So you can pretty much find me at Laura Press Counselling everywhere. So Laura Press Counselling on Instagram. My website's Laura Press Counselling as well. I do one-on-ones. I do intensive Zoom days as well, which is probably one of the fastest ways just to get results, move through things.
And what are they? Hours and hours, are they?
No, so there's about, it depends what we, I can customize it. There's plenty of breaks, don't worry, but it gives gives an opportunity just to, yeah, basically really focus on your relationship. Sometimes the 1 hour can be hard to find each week or fortnight or
Oh,
whatever we're
and
doing.
also you just get started and you're like, oh God, I've got to wait for next week. So,
And we dive deep. There's no
yeah,
stopping and starting. You get to dive
yeah,
really deep. But I also have heaps of free resources if you go to my website. Like I say, Laura Press Counselling and /free resources. There's so many there. You can just get them for free. That really can help, communication,
yeah.
getting on the same page, all that type of stuff. So you can start moving your relationship forward now.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for being a guest. And everyone absolutely needs to find you well, not even if they're having trouble, just if you feel a little bit lost, it doesn't have to be dramatic to come and find and speak to you. I think the quicker that you can get that support and guidance, then it hopefully will stop people getting to that dire straits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you can never learn enough really about anything, right?
That's right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.